Hello, my many viewers out there. Welcome to another presentation of the Volcano Shelton Show live here on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I want to welcome you. Tonight will be a wonderful, wonderful podcast. I have a wonderful guy, a guy who I've been trying to get on the show for us to talk about the everyday issues in Liberia, and he's finally consented, and we're going to be here together tonight. Um, more discussions will be centered around conversational style. It's not more of an interview, but we're just going to, like, at my job, we call it the fireside chat, kind of looking at a lot of things, but particularly our youth within the majority of our population in Liberia. I'd like to welcome you. Please help me. Let's share the link, uh, the podcast. I'll try to do from an end, and I'm sure my guest going to assist in doing that from his end by sharing it to his group and his followers, because he's a man of substance, a guy who has his own following, and I believe that at some point, with his desire for a better Liberia, he might one day decide that you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to throw my hat in the race. I think I have the money now to do it because with Liberian elections, sometimes you got to have the cash, and hopefully we all can rally, uh, around the brother to get him over the hump. So again, I just want you to keep helping me. Let's share it. I'm doing my best here to do that before we officially kicked in uh, to get him on. Our broadcast is every Thursday, once a week, for the Volcano Shelton Show, which I want to remind you that will be here only on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 11 p.m. in Liberia. Um, of course, we have the Issues Room that comes on Tuesday, one day a week as well, on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alfonso, and we kind of, come on that day as well. So again, welcome to the show. I'm trying to get this covered down the lane of many folks so we can have a good turnout here. Our conversation is going to be a good one, and so I just want us to not lose out on the opportunity to be together here tonight. So do me a favor, help me share the link. It's going to be good conversation. Trust me on that one. I can guarantee you everything we talk about here is for Mama Liberia, and we want to ensure that many of you will have the opportunity to join in, whether you weigh in during the in the chat room or have the opportunity to call in when we open the line. That's what we want to do. So again, I say welcome. My name is Volcano Shelton here, and this is the Volcano Shelton Show live here this evening. In the meantime, let me go backstage and bring in my special guest, Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fanian, commonly known as Ben Fine, affectionately known as Ben Fine. He's outside of these United States, on the other side, the sister country, Canada. Thank you so much, Ben, for accepting the invitation to join us here tonight. Of course, let me just quickly say this is what you've been passionate about: the neglect of Liberian youth. They've been used and abused. Of course, they are the largest voting bloc in the country. They are politically active. Uh, what is the demographic, the estimated number of youth, the potential employment opportunities for them, and what the future holds for them? I've done some extensive research, so we're going to really have a great conversation. Welcome, my brother.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. I'm always appreciative and I'm always enthusiastic to discuss anything and everything Liberia. I want to say good evening, good afternoon, good morning to your audience, wherever they are, to every Liberian hearing the sound of my voice. I want to say hello. I'm heavily interested in issues in Liberia, especially discussions that are aimed towards finding solutions to the problems that Liberians face. I want to say I'm very happy to be here tonight. And thank you for the invitation. And to all of your guests, I look forward to interacting with you. And I'm just very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, Ben, we don't have much time, so we're going to start right away. The perceived neglect of Liberian youth is not um, just one size fit all. Is deeply rooted and systemic. It is not usually a matter of intentional disregard. Let's put it that way, but rather the compounding aftermath of the devastating historical crisis in our country. Severe economic restraints and constraints are also a part of what they appear to be abandoned and fragmented social structures. So when you think about it, the war plays a major part. You and I grew up in an era where our fabric, our morals, our values were tight. Today it is loose. Um, but the fear here is, how do we prepare these folks, right? So why is this a passionate piece on your mind? Why do you consider the youth of Liberia a passionate piece on your mind?
Well, the first thing I want to say is if any country or any social group, if they don't pay much attention to the youth, they are literally denying themselves a future. The young people that we see today, if we all live long enough, they will turn out to be the adults of tomorrow. So I think people who are leaders or people who are aspiring to be leaders must be heavily invested in the future of our young people. I would just let your audience know that the median age in Liberia is around 19 years old, which tells me that Liberia is a very young nation. Such age should place heavily demand on any government in terms of structuring programs and policies that are intended towards giving these people not only employment opportunities but putting it in a position where they will become what I would call good citizens that will contribute positively to the survival of our nation. The way I look at this thing, even the neglect of the Liberian youth is almost like an existential threat. That is, if we don't put in policies and programs that will guarantee these young people a future, we are literally saying Liberia, years down the line, might not even exist as a nation state. So I think with 74% of the population being under 35 years old, that should be something that any government should be very interested in working towards in terms of providing opportunities for these people to build a successful lives and future for themselves.
So, rightfully said. I talked about the economic constraint, very serious issues with regards to poverty, underfunded public sector, child labor and survival. As you followed the everyday issues coming out of the country, a lot of the young people have become adults before their time. In fact, they're the one fending for the family to take care of the family. Uh, do you say that government is solely responsible for this?
We say yes. Let me say why I say yes. In every country, the
And
government,
we coming from the war, right? We came
yeah.
from the war. So when you look at the end of the war and where we are now, that's about 22 years, 22, 23, no, 22 years, 21, 22 years. Are you saying that government is responsible and have not done what it should have done within a whole, 2 decades plus?
I would say yes. Let me tell you why. Government controls what we call the purse string. Government is the one that collect taxes, and with those taxes that the government accrued every year, there is an expectation. That's what we call the social contract. The government should create an enabling environment for which their citizens will thrive. And now we look at a case where we have a lot of young people. The government has a responsibility to design programs, policy, whatever initiative they can design to ensure that the young people are gainfully employed and there's some form of structure in terms of their lives. So the first thing I would say, I place the blame squarely on the government for neglecting the young people. If Liberia has had any serious leadership since 2000 and since the 2005 election, we wouldn't have been talking about this by now. Because I will just give one example before I turn it back over to you. Every year, okay, let's say for the last 5 years, we have young Liberians graduating from LU, AMAU, still in marriage and everything. Uh, and what employment options are out there for them? What job opportunities are out there for them? So we have people going to school, doing the right thing, graduating from these institutions, but having no access to job or employment opportunities. And this is where the government should come in. I've always been proposing what I call a national youth employment policy. I will share some details of that as we go along tonight. But you see, the government has to come up with initiatives, especially so no, directed at the young people. So just to cut everything short, I will blame the government fair and square for neglecting the young people of Liberia.
But then let's also understand from your perspective. You talked about abused, used, and abused. What comes to mind when you reference something like that? Because
Okay.
our society, the word abuse, the word used, they're very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. When I say use and abuse, I'm literally talking about political exploitations. We have young people who form what I would call the majority voting bloc in Liberia. And every election cycle, you have these people in all of the political parties and organizations. You have, they are the one leading all the campaigns, they are the one leading all the advocacy and everything. So these people are used to do the groundwork. They are used to even canvass and bring some of their friends in. So after an election is won or lost, what I expect is that the winner of those elections should have had built-in social programs for the young people. But what we have been witnessing so far, once the elections are won, the young people on who backs those parties, individual or organization rode onto power, they neglect them. I would just say I would just say two things here. During the first Unity Party administration, we had, I can give you four major initiatives of the Unity Party that was directed at, at young people that failed. And some of the research that were done for those activities, I mean, you will not believe the assessment that was made. They said those programs, those initiatives, they failed because literally they were poorly planned. There was nothing in terms of sustainability. If we plan something, we get funding, after 1 year, the thing just break down, everybody go home. So that is one bad thing. Whenever you are designing something, especially so for your young people, you have to ensure that that program, that policy is sustainable. So it brings me back to my point where I say the young people, they are used. That is, the political parties, the individuals or organization, they ride on these people back to power. Once the power is acquired, they abandon them. And I will say this: the politicians in Liberia, I don't know if some of them understand what we call the social contract. The social contract in a politics simply means when people vote for you, there is an exchange. When you ascend to political power, you have a responsibility and obligation to create programs and initiatives that will help improve the living conditions of those people. So once these people win elections, we see that the young people get abandoned. So that's the use and abuse I was referencing.
So the path forward, according to some of the research here, is that addressing the youth neglect in Liberia requires shifting from short-term emergency aid to long-term structural investments, specifically targeting teachers training, decentralized youth mental health care, and accessible vocational programs that tie directly into Liberia's agriculture and economic sectors. What do you say to that?
Well, I would say everything that you just listed, they are like you just hit it, what I call bullseye. In I'm a policy, we call something theory of change. We look at your input, We'll look at your activities. We'll look at your outputs. We'll look at your outcome, and we'll look at your impact. All I'm trying to say is that you identify the key issues, and it is unfortunate that we have people in government. If you and I on this show, Mr. Shelton, you have identified some of the core issues that are impacting the young people. What about the national government, the national leadership? From my standpoint, what you just listed, everything is 100%, but I will add to that what I call the core structural challenges. There are four core structural challenges in Liberia that's hampering the young people. The first thing I would say, what we call the labor market failure. That is, our youth are predominantly engaged in informal and low productivity self-employment activities. That is, this is what the state feels. What it says is that formal job creation is insufficient to absorb annual labor market entrance. Like I just said, most of the young people graduating from LU, from AMAU, everything they graduate, yeah, but there's no jobs out there. There's nothing. Then the next one is called skills mismatch. The education these people have, I mean, the educational output, they are not aligned with the labor markets demand. Maybe in Liberia now the focus should be on STEM with heavy emphasis on agriculture. But we see that, I mean, in Liberia, I mean, why the arts, everything, I mean, it's all good, but we should be targeted in terms of our education so that when these people graduate from the institutions, they can have jobs. Then the next one, I will want to talk about what I call urban congestion. I mean, let's look at Monserrato. It seems like everybody in Liberia lives in Monserrato County, so it's called urban congestion. Over 1.8 million people are concentrated in Monserrato County. This creates severe unemployment clustering and informal settlement growth and service overload. Let me say what I say this. This is very important because the government now should look at, Monserrato County, almost everybody is concentrated there. What can we think about? What innovation can we bring about that will kind of expand? Maybe we can look at Grand Crew County. Maybe we'll look at Gibi County. What kind of activities we can put there that will be sort of geared toward job creation that will attract young people to go there and release the pressure on Monrovia, on Monserrato County. Then the next one is what I call rural disengagement, and this is key. You see, this ties into Monserrato County, right? People are trooping to Monserrato County because in the rural areas there's little, nothing there. So that's this call for the government to sit down and design programs that will not only that will be attractive, so that those people from the out, I mean, from the inland counties, to be able to stay within their counties and engage in productive activities. I did a post this morning. There's something I call a national rice company. And I think some people, called me and we talked about it. Say, for instance, if the government of Liberia form something called a national rice company, right? Yeah, you can start with two, one in Bon County and one in, maybe you can choose any other county to start in. But this is what happened. That company will be responsible for the identification of farmland, planting of rice, harvesting, storage, transportation, and sales. You see, those six areas are called. Those are six job streams that will employ six different kind of people. And what we'll be doing there will be, with that national rice company, will be helping in terms of food insecurity, and will also be creating job opportunity for young people. But all of this calls for the government to sit down, analyze and assess where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are, and formulate these programs. But what we see right now, we see that government literally doing nothing. I will just give one thing before I turn the floor over to you. When this last UP won when the UP won the last election, we heard, I think there was a plan aim at, they say, 10,000 youth were going to be trained in, I mean, digital something, something, something. You and I on this show today, how far has that program gone? And what are the, I mean, priorities? You have Liberia where we have insufficiency in terms of electricity, but you're giving people digital training. What that shows me, you don't have a fair analysis of what's ongoing in the country. Right now, if I would do anything in Liberia, I would focus on agriculture. That's the first thing. Then the next thing I will focus on health. Then the next thing before I focus on even education. Because I mean, for me to help you, you have to be alive. For you to be alive, you have to be eating. As we speak right now, Liberia is high on the International Hunger Index. We have insufficiency in terms of food, but then we're training people in IT. That's all ties into what I said, like the skills mismatch. So we actually need people who understand these things, who have worked in these things, who have proven results in terms of their work experiences. But in Liberia, we have people who have little or no education, little or no professional training, heading very critical bureaucracy. So what we get there, is just we get something we call activities but no results. So I just think, I mean, I hope some officials from Liberia would listen to your show and maybe chime in or maybe change track in terms of the things that they plan and the things that they are doing. Because I will tell you this, if we don't focus on the young people, if we don't focus on literally, I mean, the lives of the young people, we will lose Liberia. We will lose Liberia. Thank you.
And I think it's a fair assessment when you talk about, successive leadership. If who would inherit Liberia? And I've always thought about it from that perspective. Who's gonna inherit Liberia? White guy is not gonna live forever. We are is not gonna live forever. Ellie is not gonna live forever. The very people in government would not live forever. Can you imagine Ellen brought back the name Florence Chenoweth to be agriculture minister? Someone who was in the ministry back in the 70s, and she brings her in the 2000s, mid 2000s, to run the Ministry of Agriculture. How serious can we be? You understand what I'm saying? Today, Florence Chinaway is no more, peace be to her ashes. But I'm sure if she was around, there would be some influence for Baka to appoint her because she would have been considered the agriculture czar, but with nothing to show. So you talked about agriculture as being one of the most important pillars if you were given an opportunity to lead Liberia. But we have an agriculture czar as president, the man who only knows agriculture, the man who has a degree in agriculture, the man who ran the Ministry of Agriculture, the man who ran the Liberia Produce Marketing Corporation, the LPMC. How much do we see happening? To put it
Well,
side by side, I'm coming quickly. To put it side by side, we also just had a conversation about George Weah being the Ballon d'Or, the Africa best. What has he done for sport in Liberia in his 6 years? So, how do we expect people who have the background? And one of the comparison we made the other night is my profession in Liberia was a journalist. Here in America, I'm not a journalist. But love for the profession, I continue to remain a contributing factor to the discourse. That is why I put in my personal monies rather to create a studio, to create a platform, to continue to contribute. But these guys, they get a power, and they forget where the roots are, and they try to act like octopus with tentacles trying to touch everything else. How are we going to really address some of these issues if political appointments are done at the will and pleasure, and whether this person has the competencies, whether this person has the experience, whether this person has the track record, yet to get the job, and it becomes business as usual. Ben Farm, what do you think? If you were given an opportunity today, God blesses you to get to the presidency, how are you going to change the status quo? Because that's what we
uh,
see happening.
that is good. I'm going to give you a story. I have a friend. He calls me most of the time to kind of test me out. So there was one of those times he calls me and said, "Well, who will be your Minister of Agriculture?" And I said, "I don't know him." So he was shocked. He said, "What do you mean?" So I asking, I say,
And,
do you do
and quickly,
you
the truth is, they think that your government is already formed.
yeah, no, no. I told him, what, do you have a job? He said, yeah. I said, how did you get that job? Then I stopped and I said, you got that job. I can assume safely that one day you saw an advertisement somewhere, you applied for the job, you went through an interview process, and the people hire you. You have a job description, and you have a term of reference, and you have expectation in terms of your performance. So you see, what is, you raise some key issues. People in Liberia, it's almost like we do not appoint people with the expectation of performance and results. We appoint people because the guy is my friend, or the guy is in my party, or the guy praised me loudest. This is what I say. The government in Liberia, at all levels, is unaccountable at all levels. There is nothing in terms of expectation. I will tell you, the Volcano, no matter where you work in America, no matter where you work, every year you will sit in a room with somebody, your performance will be evaluated. Either you met expectations, you exceed, or you fell below expectation, and your pay might be increased, or your pay will be stuck at the same level, or you'll be given a job improvement plan. We
But
have
just
ministers,
while you stay in your thoughts,
you know,
since we having discussion, I've always asked myself, who's evaluating the ministers? Is
that's what I'm saying.
because
We,
I get an evaluation from my boss. It's Mr.
you see,
Braga who appointed these people, bringing them one by one, setting a 1 hour aside and say, Madam Foreign Minister, let's look at the foreign policy, what our relationships now. Mr. Finance Minister, let's look at this, and this is their evaluation. Madam Health
that's what I'm
Minister,
saying.
now that Ebola is
So
on the horizon, what are some of the things you have in place? Are these things
yeah,
happening
so
in an
no,
evaluation?
I told my friend, I said, well, if I do win an election, that's why you have 90 days from the time you win to the time you're inaugurated. Immediately, because I have that blueprint, immediately I will hire an international HR firm. I will pair two Liberians HR professionals with them. I say, you advertise all the ministerial job, the ministers and their assistants. Only you advertise every one of them. The only thing I want is that person at one point in time was born a Liberian. He can be a German, he can be from Indonesia, whatever. Once he was born a Liberian, he can apply for that position. You interview him, do the background check, do the reference check, anything, do all the checks. Then you recommend those people to me. Then I will make the final decision. All I'm trying to say is, when we hire people, we hire them on a professional basis, and we set expectations. The ministers in Liberia, they do not have terms of reference. My brother, me and you on this show, I can't tell you a single project that a minister is working on, or a single goal that he's working to achieve. The minister should literally be implementing policies of the government, and there should be benchmark. There should be milestone. There should be, like, this in 1 month we should exceed this level. 2 months, I mean, there should be goals. But the ministers, their performances are never evaluated. So how is this man a minister? So all of that, all of these these what I would call systemic flaws, they lead to grinding incompetence. I will tell you this: every month I will have a cabinet meeting. Every cabinet minister, you will come. You have 10. No, you have. I would say 5 minutes. You have to give me a presentation in terms of your performance. You have to tell me how many people you have on your staff, what your monthly expenses are, the project you are working on, and how far you are pushing the specific policy of my administration. But we cannot have people who are just ministers because they are ministers. It's all over the government. Superintendents. I don't even know what the superintendent is doing. Nobody knows. So you see, when you put this structure into place and you hold people accountable, that's how you have performance. And I will tell you this. The last thing I want to say, I tried contacting the LEC boss. I tried contacting him today, because I did some assessment. LEC, there is no reason why electricity should be sparse in Liberia. There's no reason. We had a wattage. We have everything we need. What is happening at LEC is mismanagement and self-sabotage. The people at LEC, some of the employees are stealing. They are stealing fuel. Some of the employees are doing illegal reconnection. So the company is sabotaging itself. That's why we are where we are. But it is all due to the fact that we don't have a system of accountability. So once you don't have accountability, you will just grind to a halt because nobody is holding anybody accountable. So nothing will work. So it just brings me back to my point where I told my friend that I don't know my ministers simply for the fact that people who will work for me will be professional people. They won't be my friends. I don't know them. They will come to a job that has set expectation in terms of their performance. And if they fall below that expectation, they will be fired. They'll be fired. So okay, right now we see. I've seen that there's this man from internal affairs. I watched some program. Some guy was saying, "Oh, Joe Baka knows Newman from long time ago. They came way back." No, 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 no. I don't want that. This is a job
But in fact,
that I have expectation in terms of performance.
it is
I
stated
don't
that
care
that's
what I
his
know you.
nephew. It is stated that that's his nephew.
And that boils down to what we call nepotism. You don't give jobs to your friends and family. You have to, a professional job needs a professional to execute that job. And when he falls below your expectation, you fire him. Where I work, this is it. When you can't do your job, we call you in the office the first time. We'll give you a verbal warning, written warning, your third warning. Then after that, you are terminated because it is called return on investment. When
Come
I'm
on now,
paying
come
you
on, come on,
money,
come on. Hold on. You don't do a
you know
PIP, no performance improvement plan. You will
yeah,
not give the man
no,
the
no,
opportunity.
no, no, no. When I'm paying you, you must give me something back. No, but you see, with all those conversations, especially so when we come in the office, that's when we give you your PIP. When we come in the office, that's what we give it because when we talk to you verbally, we expect you to say, okay, I will shape up. But when we bring in the office, we assess the performance, that one will give you your PIP. So your second one after your PIP, after that, you're gone. But what I'm trying to say is we don't have this structure in place. And in Liberia, what I would do, that structure will be in place, but it will be independent. It's not working for nobody. You're not saying, oh, maybe he's working for this state authority. No, no, no. Whatever decision these people make in terms of assessment of your performance is binding. But these are the kind of things that we need for for the society to work. In the States, we have something called the GAO, General Accounting Office. They tell you literally how much money you spend. When you misuse the government money, they expose you. But in Liberia, right now, to speak, me and you are on the phone right now. The LRA. The LRA cannot tell us how much revenue they've raised for the first and fiscal and quarter of the year. And nobody's saying, no, 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 no. This is part of the LRA responsibility. We shouldn't even be asking for this. This thing it should be published. But, because of no accountability, that's why all these things can happen. Thank you.
So I mean, you brought something up, and I thought to add to it because in Liberia, customarily since this bloody civil war, anything that were done normal times should not be done now, right? You did mention about some of the good things that you will implement. Right now, we have a situation where anytime someone is brought to book from whether the previous government, the opposition community is considered witch hunt. What is trending right now in the news is Josiah Joka, who is the Civil Service Agency's director, attended the rally of Nimbo, and there are folks who saying that it violates the code of conduct because when you are a political appointee, anything that has to do with politics and rallies, so long you are within the space of government, you should recuse yourself from it. So that's the noise going on. Now, let's just say that these people push to the point where Josiah decides, okay, you know what, I'm going to step down. They will continue to say witch hunt. The Samuel Tuah case, uh, again, they decide that they will look at look at other things, even though he was found not guilty. The story continues, and they're looking at other things. Oh no! Once the man was not found guilty, you can't add anything to it. No, but we can find something new, right? So I'm just saying these things that you think it's possible to really change the mindset of the people, because you remember when Bwaka was asked the question regarding Yeke Koluba, and he said that because some things didn't happen yesterday, it doesn't mean it will not happen today. Ben,
Yeah, you see,
one time ago, Liberia was a normal society. One time ago, Liberia implemented everything almost by the books. Today, those same things are on the books, but people don't want to take the initiative to implement those things to change the country for the better. And what we're talking about here tonight, just before you coming, we're talking about our young people. The stuff says here 5.85 million people in our population. Okay? 4.1 million in that percentage. 70% are under the age of 35. Many of these people don't even know what normal time looked like. They don't even know what was happening. They've not seen fire hydrant. They didn't even see telephones on the street. They didn't know what Liberia looked like. So these guys who fail to implement all of these things continue to create a situation for these young people to believe what the dispensation is now is what Liberia used to be. And as a result of Ben Fan coming in with what he knows Liberia used to be, coupled with what has changed in the world today, and wants to implement those things, you're going to have a lot of pushbacks. It's going to be difficult. And that is why sometimes the very people you appoint cave in because don't bring your American thing here. Don't bring that your Canadian thing here. This is not how we do it. And so what happens? People say, you know what, these people are not ready. What you say to that?
yeah, you see, there are two things at play here. Two things at play. That is the lack of integrity of the leadership and the lack of political will to do what is right. You see, for anything to change, the leaders or the leadership must be heavily invested. I'll just break down to, to our homes. You see, our kids, if we don't enforce rules in our homes, our kids won't be the best. What is happening is our leaders are deliberately not enforcing the law. Let me just give one case in point. During the, I think Chalo Mosu case. The one that happened at Gloria Scott House. I don't know what became of that case. I don't know, but this is what happened. A little girl died. The laws regarding murder in Liberia, from my own assessment, was not enforced. What am I trying to say here? When people violate the code of conduct, there are requisite a provision within the code of conduct that plays some sanction in terms of what should happen to that person. The leaders are not enforcing that because it costs. Laws are not laws until they are enforced. You see, our young people, just like you said, they have not seen certain things because we who are the leaders, we who are the elders, we are not showing sufficiency in terms of examples. We are not enforcing the laws now.
Do you
Look,
think is intentional deprivation of knowledge? So that
yes,
they can perpetuate themselves. That's why you come with the issue of abused and used. Do you
I
see
will tell you
that?
this.
Intentional
It is
deprivation.
it is intentional. The chaos in Liberia is done by design. Because if Liberia is properly managed, most of the theft, most of the mismanagement that is happening right now will not be able to happen. Let me tell you this. This is 2026. We are almost in at the end of May 2026. Not a single building in Liberia has an address. And our lawmakers, leaders, they earn thousands of dollars. You tell me that don't bother them. We don't even have a single functioning ambulance system in the country. That should bother anybody. We have lawmakers that have districts, they have constituents. Their constituents don't have access to ambulance. Their constituents don't have addresses. But I'll tell you this, it is by design because the more those things are structured, it will remove some of the power that they have. So they appreciate the chaos. They do appreciate it because if anything else is orderly, they won't be able to function the way they are functioning now. Let me just say the last thing. I think during the last few years, we invited an ECOWAS, delegation to our parliament. While they were deliberating, the power went off. The power went off. The guests were in the dark. Yes, power failure happened. But if it was a normal country, there would have been a standby generator. There would have been this is even is building maintenance. It's just a proper management. It's just common sense that you have a standby generator just in case power go off. But I'm just trying to tell you that chaos facilitates abuse, corruption and mismanagement. So they don't want to change it. But you see, it takes a leader to come and say, no, we're going to enforce the law. And if you don't enforce the law, I will hold you accountable. It takes a leader who will not be interested in appointing his friends. Because you see, Volcano, if I appoint you as my friend, chances are if you do something wrong, I will kind of be in a tight spot to hold you accountable. That's what I said. The ministers, the managing director, I don't want to know them. These people are employees who came to do a job, and I hold them accountable.
So that means I'm not going to get a job in your government because of this. I mean, I will go
You,
through your vetting process now. Come on, don't get it wrong. I'll go through your vetting process. I will go through everything and I will do all the interviews outside of there, and then they'll bring it to you. No, no bribing. But okay, let me put this out here. By that time, I may not even be in the workforce. But let me put this out here. Sanja Manja says, this is a question for you. Do you think that I will make a difference if government, oh, I think he meant to say it will make a difference if government financially subsidizes students who are opting to pursue higher education and training agriculture to encourage students venture in those areas to increase food security, sustainability, and job opportunities. And I
okay,
thought that this is not new. I know that
yeah, I
Talbot
would.
Talbot sent people to school to become agriculturists, put money, supported them, and I think they'll continue it to some degree. Um, but and I had a conversation with someone. I think it was my man Alfonso, where we were talking something about instead of making education free for all at the University of Liberia and wasting, resources, the competition should be to give people free education who will go into the industries that will make a difference in changing the country. For
Well,
instance, everybody wants to go and study politics because I want to go in the house. I want to be a politician. Many of the students are doing public administration, management, those soft, areas, rather than going to the technical side of things. So it was just a thought. But do you think this
yeah,
will make a difference?
this is what I would say to that. You see, it falls in line with what I call the National Rice Company. The people who will want to get involved in agriculture, students. You see, the National Rice Company will be open to employing students mostly, and mostly young people. So yes, those who want to engage in agricultural studies at the University of Liberia, they will be almost they will be direct employees in that company. So while they are going to school, they will have what they call our thing. It will be like after school employment. After your school, you can go to work. After your school, you can go to work. Yes, because we must create incentives for people to be attracted to that industry. But let me just tell you this. I live in Gainesville, Florida for 6 years. And the University of Florida, on their campus, right behind the campus, they have a big farm. When I was at LU in Amifenda, we had an agriculture college there. They had a farm. I used to pass it. There's a big farmers there. All I'm saying is we should create incentives whereby these areas will be attractive to people. I don't want people to say, oh, well, I'm getting just free education going to school. I want to do what. Yeah, people can choose whatever vocation they want, but I will create incentives in some critical areas that are necessary for the survival of the state. Agriculture is one of the key contributors to our GDP. Agriculture is our highest employer despite the neglect. We have we have a chance, or we have a sufficiency of young people, and then we have able-bodied young men.
Paper bodies,
Yes, so
70%.
we would drive a lot of the young people there. So to a large extent, what people don't understand about this, why I've been always been saying this, when we grow enough rice in Liberia, we can be able to feed our domestic market, and we'll be able to export some of them. That will be earning foreign exchange. But the thing is, we have to give it an incentive, and we have to give it a push. Then we attract the young people. But I really don't believe in people having just a free education. No, I believe in people having subsidized education, because anything that is free for most people is considered as not good. So there must be some kind of quid pro quo there. We'll give you education, yes, but you give us some sort of service that you will earn that funding where you can pay for your school. So that's how it will. That's how it will be designed. But my emphasis will be on agriculture. And one of the things I want to emphasize there too, we will go into something called aquaponics. And when I live in Seattle, there's an Asian man there. He never owned a boat, but he was selling fish to us. He had the biggest fish market. He don't have a boat. You go to, I mean, you see the live fish, the big fish like that. The guy was making money. Aquaponics, aquaponics. So you don't need to have a boat. All I'm trying to say is, it takes the
It's like he was
leadership.
breeding. He was breeding the fish.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what he was doing. Fish farming. All I'm saying is it takes the leaders to sit down and form a strategy, have goals. Let me just say one last thing in that regard. Norway, before Norway became a powerhouse, because Norway now they are more rich because they found oil. Norway was a power in the EU, and their entire economy was based on fishery. The entire economy, fishery. Just going out there to catch fish. Liberia, we have the Atlantic Ocean from Cape Mount to Maryland. We don't have a sustainable fisheries sector. If we establish a good fisheries sector, employ a lot of young people, you know how much money we can just out of there. We don't even have to go to iron ore or diamond or gold. But you see, this takes your leaders having vision, your leaders having demonstrated competence, your leaders not that your. No, the leader should be interested in the social, economic, upward mobility of the people. The people. I mean, I mean, it kind of hurts me. People in Liberia say, oh, they put stealing land. They put. These people don't have jobs. You expect them to pay light bill? Chicken and egg. The people don't have jobs.
But
The government is
you expect them to
yeah.
sleep in the dark. Yeah, they should
The
sleep in the dark.
government is not creating an environment where the citizen would thrive. The people don't have jobs. What do you expect from these people? There are no jobs.
But
So the government has to come.
interestingly, Ben, the very people in government are the one who getting those things are free. They because they have high fences. There was a power theft for a big guy in the government who the guys drilled the pole and planted a wire in the pole and connected it and ran it on the ground and carried into his things. He didn't pay the balance of the money, so the boys exposed him. They sent another group there and they dug the wire out of the pole. But this is a guy who could afford the electricity. But because he wants to run his stove, his generator, I mean not generator, air conditioner, all of these things. So he had to bypass, his. But the truth here is, so many things need to be done in that country, and no matter how much you as a young man with all of the vision and so forth, the assembly of a critical team would be critical to making some of those changes. Just in case if you just joining us here, you're watching the Volcano Shelton show. My guest is Benjamin Kofa Fania, commonly known as Ben Fan, a young progressive who wants to see change for Liberia. The focus of this conversation tonight is the neglect of our young people. More than 70% who are uh, all over the country. Some in the 50% are languishing. They call them Zogos and Zogis. No job, no direction to go. But one of the critical things we want to talk about here tonight is the fact that while it is true that these people are abused, used, and abandoned, They remain the existential voting force in the country. Um, the record says here that 50 to 55%, according to the Elections Commission and FLY, the Federation of Liberian Youth, have more than 50 to 55% of the voting population to be in the youth in the country. The registered voters majority are under the age of 35. So that is why no politician comes to power without the voting influence of the young people. Why you think that a guy like George Weah utilizes that group? Because they see themselves in him. And had he smartly utilized that relationship and given them back opportunities, whether in sports, whether in the things you talked about here, agriculture and all of these things, maybe he could have won a second term. This group is so existential in our electoral process, but they're not informed. Ben, what do you do or what do you say? Because just being standing in the line and giving your vote, but not being informed, and only because you see the optics around you, George Weah, the man at the face of the country, Joseph Boakai, 45 years of experience, Alexander Cumming, how do these people change the mindset and value their votes if the next president is heavily relied on their being in the line, the scorching sun in October to bring that person to power? What what what
Okay.
what type of education can you give them, even for
I would
yourself, when
just
you decide to?
I would just go back because you raised a key thing that I want to emphasize here tonight. Zogos. It breaks my heart because for me, I was born in West Point, and I will tell you this, Mr. Shelton, the house that I grew up in was a broken down zinc house. I mean, the house I was born in. I mean, it's like a slum. I'm from West Point. My mom and my dad, they are very poor people, very poor people. You can imagine the amount of poverty that I experienced. But let me tell you this. I mean, Dillon, it bothers me because I think I mentioned this thing earlier. You have people who are unprepared, occupying critical position in our society. Dillon said he would build a house for Zogo to take them from the street. you know, and it bothers me. Sorry, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Zogo is the first problem to deal with. Zogo, the Zogo you see on the street, my brother, the Zogo is an end result. The Zogo is a product of the breakdown of the family. The Zogo you see on the street, he's an end product. He's an end product. So the first thing to tackle the problem of a Zogo in our society, you need to emphasize the family. What programs can we develop to keep the family unit together? What program can we develop so that the man and his wife, they will be able to feed their children, they will be able to house them? You say you're building one house then for Zogo? No. There are millions of Zogos will be outside, only a few will be in the house. So when we pay attention to the family, keeping the man and his wife and the children as a unit together, that will be the beginning of the solution to the Zogo problem. Then we need the social worker, the psychiatrist, all the other professional people. But the first emphasis to tackle that should be emphasis on keeping the family together. Let me tell you what I would do. I would encourage Liberian, especially the young people, the men and the women. I would encourage them to get married. I would encourage that. I would encourage them. And people who are married will register them. We'll give them some form of stipend every month. Some form of stipend, even if it's just bag of rice with some small money. What we're doing is we're keeping the family unit together. We want the family unit to be together. The breakdown of the family is the destruction of the society. Then before we start solving all the other things, so I just wanted to stress on that because I mean, last few years I heard, oh, they're building a house for Zogo. Okay, then you see when I want to get back to what you asked me.
But let's
Uh,
come
uh,
let's come to let's come to this term. how much of this house? What's the size of this house? We're talking 50%. You're talking 70%, 4 point something million in our youthful population under the age of 35. All of that, the ones that are doing good, are a small number. So we give 50% to the waywards, put it that way, the ones who don't have no hope, who are in the ghettos, who are doing drugs, who are doing prostitution, crime, serious armed robbery, petty crimes, all of these things. And you say you build a house. How much you taking off the street? And what
No, but let
bothers
me.
me, Ben, you were coming. What bothers me is that we take this to be a situation that we can just gloss over. You know how you go to the cemetery during decoration day, the whole place is danger, government, city ordinances, they don't clean, no, nothing in parks and recreation and all of those things. Nothing done, right? So the people come to do their family graves and all they use is whitewash and clean up and paint the grave with whitewash. And then after a few months when the rain comes, it goes right back to square one. This is how these people want to approach this major, major problem affecting the country. Major problem affecting the country. I remember when I was growing up, we have different kinds of things that young people wanted to do. I'm a Baptist. We had an RA camp where we were boys. Every year we look forward to going for three weeks of time spending together, boys from all over the country. Most of my friends that I grew up with today, like this Sebastian Moa, who was deputy minister, former deputy minister at finance, Reverend Dr. Peabody, you see on the Spoon Talk. We all grew up together as contemporaries. We look forward to those things. Nothing like that happening for a majority of the young people. So all they do, go to the nightclubs, go to the drinking spot, sit in the ghetto, do nothing. Days and nights pass them by. Days and nights pass them by. So I just wanted to emphasize that piece as you thought about building a house by Dylan building a house. One man can't do that. This is a national issue. This is a
And
national issue. Why it is true that you want to show your desire to support, but this is not an ordinary feat. Right here in America, do you know how much money that people put into human services? Billions of dollars into human services. And you're talking about building a house that would maybe take 50 people off the street and then they will go right back into through recidivism, go right back into
recidivism, that's it.
so
You see
let me let
what
you come in,
that.
but quickly
You
let
see
me
what
remind
that.
folks I'm opening the line now as Ben goes through the conversation. If you want to call in, here's the number. It's posted 404-272-2808, 404-272-2808. The neglect of Liberian youth, used and abused, the largest voting bloc, politically active in our country. The demographics show estimated youth numbers in the population 4.7 million in the population. What are potential opportunities for them and the way forward as we look towards a better future for our country? That's the conversation here. Please call 404-272-2808. Ben, take it back.
Yes, you see what I would say. I mean, to that is a lack of understanding of the problems. But in Liberia, it's mostly fanfare. It's almost like in I mean, policy we say activities without results. So Dylan and people like him who have no professional trainings in providing solutions to this kind of problem, we just do what we call the we just do what we call the I mean, populist dance, just throw dust in the air and make noise. But let me just go to this other point. With the young people in Liberia, what I want to do to them, and I think next week I will kind of I will be on on a radio program in Liberia. One of the things I plan to do, I want to challenge the way they think, challenge the way they think, because the first move you have to make when you want to transform somebody, you have to challenge the way that person think. I've been going on a few shows, people ask me, so, oh, what have you done? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I told someone, I said, well, the politicians in Liberia, since 2005, they have been giving you cups of rice, they have been giving you small money, they have been giving you this. Look at the country today. Look at the country today. You ask any average Liberian, oh, things are. Oh, that is proof positive that The small, small things those politicians have been giving you, they have not worked. They have not worked. They don't have any systemic program to kind of improve your living conditions. So they will give you the cups of rice, they will give you bags of rice, they will give you ore, give you money here and there, and you will mortgage your future to them for 6 years. Because for 6 years, the politicians, their lives, their wives, their children, will all improve. Meanwhile, you who give them political power for cups of rice, your life will remain the same. So, what I want to tell young Liberians is that you should ask politicians serious questions and you should demand answers. Sorry, I didn't mean to pick on anybody, but there was someone from Bapulu, I don't want to call name, but it says she's a market woman. Yeke Koluba.
Ben,
Like,
let me quickly
what can
take
we?
this caller for you. Let me take this caller for you. Good evening, caller.
Yeah,
Uh,
my name is Joe Marley McTuray,
hold one
and I
second. Can you hear the caller, Ben?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, good. Go ahead, Ben. McTuray.
and I'm called from Pennsylvania. Yeah, first of all, firstly, I want to extend my compliments, for being very selective of this kind of show program, rather. But the thing is that it's very catastrophic, that government after government, and I am pushing the issue of education, because no matter how much you try to put into taking the guys off the street or trying to, arrest the issue of drug abuse, I mean, people have to be educated. I just heard you talking about, back in the days you're trying to retrospect. You see, let me just take you to to some of the various communities. Why you think Kakata Makidi County was so great? Why? Those days everybody like Kakata. It was because of BWI. Because they had a high standard vocational school where young people could go and acquire skills, acquire profession, and then after they go into society and develop themselves, become family members, become father and mothers and things. So no matter what a rocket scientist you bring to Liberia, if you don't approach the issue of education, which is going down the gutter every day, down the gutter, I mean, prove me right or wrong. But if you can approach it, and young people can be educated, young people can be eager to go back to school, I mean, we'll be wasting our time. Trust me. It's not going to help. Look at the educational system. Why you think Topman and Topman they build schools? Schools. Eh? Why you think they build schools? Because you have to give you have to attach significance to the human resource. You got to build the minds of the people. So I mean, congratulations for the
Thank
show,
you.
but
Thank you. That's
that's
a
it,
very
man.
good point. I didn't think about it that way. Like Totman University now, it used to be TC, Totman Technical College. Why you think people will leave from Monrovia, leave the good life, and go all the way to Maryland to go to school, right? I think that's a very good point he suggested. What do you say to that?
Well, let me say this. Education is very important, but you see, in a policy design, we have something called root cause analysis.
Ben,
Like
let me
you
quickly.
see, people are looking at Liberia as if it's a normal country. Liberia is not a normal country. It's not. It's not a normal country. Let me say this. Let me just say, I like what the young man said. We had an incident a few years ago where over $100 million worth of drugs was apprehended in Liberia. 100 million. And let me tell you what some of the things that people are not considering. Do you think that was the first time those people attempted to bring that drugs in? No, I would say no. Liberia is a transshipment. But what I'm trying to say here is what this young man just talked about is a whole another show. That is, we have to focus on the education sector. Let me tell you the first thing I would do for the education sector. I would set up something they call standardization. Standardization. What constitutes a school? What is a school? What is a school in Liberia? What is an elementary school? What is a high school? What is a junior high school? And what are the ethics in school? Because you see, it's easy to say people can go to school, but we want these people to leave these schools being productive citizens. I will tell you this: anywhere you live in the world, there are some basic requirements you have to meet to set up something you call a school. Maybe there should be places for recreation, there should be places for refreshment, like recess, cafeteria, playground. There are certain basics
But let
you
me
have to
share a fund
have.
with you. We're
You know?
discussing. We have a gentleman group here in Pennsylvania, and we're discussing that we wanted to take a project. And one of the guys came. He said, "Oh, my friend got a school in Mount Barkley, and we think we should do something for the school." So one of the other guys said, "My man, we're not here for your friend's school. The school doesn't even have a roof." And you're saying you're treating. So it's just the fun that when you say that there should be standards, you
You
know.
see?
But is that,
So
wouldn't you see that as that insatiable quest for education
no,
that young
I know, but
people, I'm coming, Ben, that young people will really, really want to learn. So it doesn't matter. I've sat in classroom sitting on a cement block because of the inadequacies of chairs when I was coming up in school. I went to a public school and graduated from a public school, but I was comparable to any student from the St. Patrick's to the Tottenham High or anywhere. So isn't that so? The space sometimes doesn't mean much. It depends on what type of education is being provided to the pupil and how that pupil is able to inculcate and utilize that in the real world. I'm just trying to play devil's
yes,
advocate
no, no,
here.
no. I mean,
Go
what you
ahead.
said, understand. But you see, this is what we do. We will first have people with the requisite expertise to come and help us set up a standard. What a kindergarten should be like, what a elementary school should be like, what a junior high school, what a high school, what a university library should be like, in terms of the learning environment. That's the first thing, the learning environment, the conduciveness of the learning environment. Then we have curriculum standardization. That means when you go to school in Bond County, you go to school in Maryland County, you're all studying the same Army curriculum standard. Then we also have to come to the teachers, who the teachers are. We don't have teachers, if anybody that come in the class, the teachers must be certified teachers. You see, I mean, that is a whole show. You have to set standards. Let me say this. I mean, you say you went to a school where you sat on the block. Yes, we have a national, budget this year that is 1.2 billion, that the speaker and other people are taking millions in terms of in terms of how much they will get out of that. Then we can properly ensure that our schools are funded. Where are the priorities? So you first have to have standard. You set those standard and you enforce the standard. Then you have regular inspections. Then we can have a school. But we cannot, anybody can just make out a school. So, no, 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 no. We want our people to go to school, but we must have standardized education. That's number one. The Zugos that are on the street, I will tell you this. If we have something called the National Rice Company, we can hire all those. Let me tell you this. Nobody wants to live on the street. No, everybody wants to lead a better life. We will build hostels on those farms. Hostels. That's where those children will come, live on those hostels, go to work. After work, they can attend, they can go to adult education, they can go to play sports, they can do whatever, but we'll give them a different life from what they are leading now. So we have to set up standards and we have to enforce those standards. Those are the kind of thing we need. So I don't, you see, one of the things I don't want some people saying, some people, when they go to Liberia, they want to give the minimum. I see people go to Liberia like, oh, my man, Liberia, man, the poor separate. No. If I would build any road in Liberia, that the least amount of lanes it will have, 3 lanes on both sides. I cannot build a 2-lane road in Liberia. You see, what I'm trying to say is you don't look at Liberia and restrict Liberia. Say, oh, these people are poor people, they will accept it. No. Bring in the standards, apply the standards, and enforce the standards. And socially, the people will adjust. So what the young man said, I do agree with him. Education is very important, but for me, I will want to structure the education in a way where it is standardized. It is standardized. Sorry, last thing I want to say in line with that, we have people every year. Our young people they fail the West African Examination Council. I mean, in such a bad manner. We want to make sure that the teachers will be competent, the building will be conducive for learning, and the students will have a conducive environment to learn where that their results will be a reflection of the kind of education that they're experiencing.
Yankwez Guluman, you say you're trying to call, but I don't see anything coming from you, whether WhatsApp or that of a regular phone number coming through. So the number again is posted right there, 404-272-2808. We'd like to hear from you. Call us. All right. So again, we're here for another 5-10 minutes, but I wanted to drive this home with regards to we talked about some of the things that uh, the youth can do in our country if the government prioritizes that. But Ben Fan, considering the youth being the most important voting population of the country, what's in the future if they continue to put bad governance in power? What's the way for them? Because again, they're not receiving the necessary education. This podcast, something good for them to listen to, pay attention to some of the good things being talked about here, be analytical, be more research driven to find what type of candidates. They only want to see the very people around them. The question here is, what did it do for us? But a real person who wants change for the country is not going to come and give you handouts. It's not going to come and buy t-shirts and put it on your back. It's not going to bring you back of rice. The real leader of a nation is not going to do that. The person who wants to be president want to use the resources in the country to benefit all, not to take from his pocket after all the years he's worked and give it back to you because he wants your vote. People who do that with surreptitious motive. They want something in return. So, what education can we give here tonight as we drive this conversation home with regards to the voting population of the young people, who's the greatest population we talked about here during the course of action, what the future holds for them if they continue to reverberate and recycle the same 6 and 7 books of Moses, as we say in Liberian parlance.
Well, what I would say towards that, yeah, I don't want to underestimate the influence of this show. I like going on shows like this, even if it's one
Do
person
me do
giving a
me a
kind of.
quick pause. There's a caller from Arizona. Let me
All right.
take that caller.
Yes,
The
this is
call,
Yankoi.
yeah, welcome Yankwe Guluma, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, so you live. What's your contribution?
Okay,
Can you lower your monitor a little
yeah,
bit before
yeah,
we?
let me walk out of there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I'm not in Arizona today. I'm in Oregon. Um, this is a very great topic, but we need to think out of the box a little bit.
So are you
There are
saying we
people.
are you saying we sitting in the box here?
Well, let me just elaborate on what I mean here. Uh, I understand the that there are a lot of issues in this drug situation in Liberia. You can't just narrow it that those who are struggling with it are coming from broken homes and what have you. I know families in Liberia today who did their best to bring up children very well with the parents all involved. For some reason, for example, you got 3 girls, 1 boy, and all 3 girls came out of school, came out of college with that career. They're doing so well right in Liberia. The only boy child that they put all the money into became a Zogo. That doesn't have anything to do with the father or the mother trying their best. to give this child the quality education he needed, the discipline, this drug
I don't think
epidemic.
quickly, let me just come in. I don't think Ben meant that in a disproportionate number. I think the general theme here is that everything happening to our young people, especially the Zogo population, in the majority is driven by poverty, is driven by lack of rehabilitation after the war, is driven by no formal education, and these people are abandoned. Now, don't
But
get me wrong, your point is well taken that yes, some people who are doing. In fact, there was a story that former President Taylor's son, with Jua Howard Taylor, was involved with drug. We just heard the story of what's his name, who's aspiring to become president, Musa Ability, son involved with drugs. So yes, it's happening, but on a grand scale. I think that's where Ben was coming from. Just to
okay,
make it clear.
okay, I will let him go fly with that one. Let me go back to other thing.
I can hear him. Is he still there?
Overnight to see all those produce coming up, but you can see things are happening. You got a poultry farm right now that is almost completed. That's going to start producing more eggs for Liberians. So we have to cut down on import from other countries. You got a plantation in Grand Cru right now for coconuts, copra industry, something that the Southeasterners are very good at. Going to build this massive plantation where they will be able to give farmers coconut signs that they can plant on their farm and they can produce coconut oil from that for exports. There's so much going on that don't happen overnight. Liberia coming from a place that you can't just easily compare with other people who already starting from a well-established foundation. We destroy whatever we have. I
So
went
so
to
so
I
what
went to
what
camp just like you said. We had the camps, those youth camp, Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran. We had those youth camp during before the war. You go there, you get some mentorship from older men and things in biblical trainings and everything. We need to bring back those things, but don't say that everything is just lacking or because of politics. Things have started changing in Liberia.
so when do you say things have
Uh,
started
uh,
changing?
uh, Volcano,
Right now,
can I
it's
ask him one thing?
changing.
Can I ask him
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Let
Go
me ask
ahead.
you one
Yes,
question,
Can you
sir.
hear my panelist, Mike?
yes,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
hear him.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wait,
Let
he
me
wants
ask
to ask
you.
you a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
The host and myself, we were trying to figure something out in the tenure of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, George Weah, now Joseph Waka. We said it was almost 30 years, right?
22.
No, this Ellen was 12, Joia was 6,
That's
then I
18.
got Joseph Waka. Yes.
Yeah. So 2021.
Okay. So that's 22 years, right? Okay, this is what I want to say. During all of that time, the politicians in Liberia, all of them, look at their before and after images. Most of them came to power very poor. All of them now, they look well fed, they look well conditioned, they are paid highly. Some of those guys, I remember during the old time, they were paid like 18,000, 20,000. So what can we see some of that transformation in the people they are leading? The government officials shouldn't be the only one. No, hold on a second. Hold on a second. The government officials shouldn't be the only one experiencing changing. You see, when you come to government, it's called public service. You are like a teacher. You come to serve to give back to your community. So if the people who we come to serve since 2006, we keep
Five.
telling them, oh, yo, since 2000, we keep telling them, oh, yo, we're small on condition buy, we can compare like, but then we riding $45,000 car. We meet a special, session for $10,000 each. And we keep telling the people to
Flying
wait.
business class.
Yeah, we going all over the world. My brother, you raise very good points. But you see, it is high time we hold our leaders accountable. In Africa and some other older places, government is the only place that people go to get rich. Normally, when you
That's
go
right.
to
That's right.
government, you
You have
go
to
there to
lie.
serve. You don't go there to get rich. You don't go to
Yeah,
government to build wealth. You go to the private sector. So I
I
would
agree with
disagree with
you.
you. Why you raise all the very good points, I disagree with the fact where you say, oh, we should wait small. Let the government official
No,
wait
no,
small.
I did not say we're small. I said things have
Okay, thank
started
you.
changing. It don't happen
Yeah,
overnight.
But
no,
but
but
It
that's
but
starts
no,
but
but it
gradually.
happened overnight for the lawmakers.
Guluma, 22 years is not overnight, man. Come
Yes,
on, man.
I mean, it
Okay,
happened
okay, okay. Now,
overnight.
now,
Come
now,
on,
now, now
Yankwe.
look at this, now, Shelton.
Yeah, but
I can
Yankwe,
leave
come on,
from
man. 22
Monrovia and go to
Yankwe,
Harvard
Yankwe,
under 10 hours in
Yankwe,
the rainy
Yankwe,
season.
Yankwe,
That's a change.
Yankwe. But listen to me.
Okay.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much these guys are taking off my life? Do you know how old am I? Do you know
20
how many I
something years,
see
you
a
said we should
brother
still be
Liberia?
waiting?
Come on, brother.
We should still be
22
waiting?
years, and then
Exactly,
hold on,
but it
hold on.
don't happen overnight. Let's be
My
real
man,
now.
leave the overnight talk. Find something
No,
else.
but
Say
yeah,
something
it
else.
shouldn't happen
I mean,
overnight
Because
for
look
the
at the
lawmakers
roads. Look
too.
at the roads right now. It has
Oh,
nothing changed on the
goodness.
road condition.
No,
I can
no,
get
no,
from
sir.
Monrovia to Harper
We
in
are not
Texas
saying, we
under
are not
10
saying,
hours. That's a
don't
change.
don't get this wrong. We are not saying nothing changed. I'm saying the pace at which the lawmakers' lives are improving, the government official lives are
Oh, that's true.
improving.
That's
Let's see some of
corruption.
that in the
We have
people.
to deal with that. That we have to deal with that. That's a problem in Liberia from time immemorial.
Well,
Okay,
you know,
and so now you got the finance minister that just got vindicated from his corruption case. Who will you blame? Would be the president or the judiciary system? You have to look at the things from one point to the other. We can't just put everything on the presidency.
nobody putting anything on president. We put
So you can
everything.
become president right
No,
now.
brother,
If
listen.
My
that
brother,
system doesn't change,
No, we're not
my
putting anything
brother,
on president. What we're
my,
putting this thing
my
on
brother, I think
governance
you're missing. Yeah,
is
you're
a
you're
combination of
missing what's
everyone.
happening
But
here.
let's just say, Ben, we put on the president. The president is appointing at the will and pleasure of who he wants to put there. And when these people are not performing, and when they're all in the enjoyment for 22 years, you call that overnight?
the president don't have
Overnight?
control over the legislature. He doesn't have control over the judiciary.
We agree.
This is where the greatest problem we have in Liberia comes from, those two branches. Because if you can't
But
even hold that to
Omer,
account,
listen to this one. Listen to this one. Let me put this here before we let you go. If I'm the president, the executive branch, and I'm the one supposed to produce your salary in the legislature, you doing nothing. You just sitting there talking about you making laws and send it to the judiciary to interpret. But we the ones supposed to work. We the operation side of things. And I tell you, say, hey, in this budget, this is all we can find to give you. Then you will tell me, say, you can you will shut down the government.
it's easy to say it like that though. But in case the guys stop passing all those bills, passing things, and then the whole thing.
But brother, the bills not doing. The bills are not doing anything for us. The bills are not.
No pay.
The bills are
That's
not doing anything for us.
My brother,
What bills are they passing that doing anything
yes.
for us?
My brother, I can bet you.
Listen to,
You cannot.
listen to the guest.
I can bet you, my brother. You cannot show me a single bill that the lawmakers in Liberia have passed that Liberians are benefiting from. Give me that bill and give me the statistics. Just one.
Okay.
But Gulima,
Yeah.
the invitation is yours to come here. You can come in person. Let's spend some time. I think you're making a case, but I would appreciate if you can find the time. Get with me, inbox me, and let's see if we can come here. It is an open conversation. That's what we say is straight talk. No hard feelings. We come here and we talk about. You have your position. Ben has his. I have mine. It's just about looking at it from different lenses, but we all want the same good for Liberia. Am I right?
Correct.
That's all we
That's
want.
correct.
So 10
All right.
hours to Maryland, and we were taking 20 hours. We stay Maryland. I should be doing.
I'm not sleeping on the road to reach no far now, my man. So that's a big change for me.
But I want to drive 5 hours to Maryland, bro.
Okay.
You see, my brother?
Thank you.
One last thing I want to say before you go. One last thing I want to say.
Hold on. Yangwei,
No
Yeah,
he
government,
yeah,
said
yeah, I'm here.
he wants you to
no
listen to him.
government,
One last thing.
no
Okay.
government should be congratulated for building roads. No government. That's part of the government
Well,
responsibilities. The government officials, they are being paid to do a job. Is it free? They are being paid. I will not congratulate the government abroad for doing anything. When you run for office, you say these and these and these are the programs that I'm going to enact. We elect you. We are paying you.
Especially
I can
that big arrest
I should
agenda.
I should pay you and tell you thank you for roads. That's your responsibility. You have to build roads.
Thank you. Thank you.
okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Bye bye. Okay.
Yeah, Ben. So I thought that was a good piece. His coming on and all of that. But yeah, let's call this a night. Let's wrap this thing up.
Yes. Yeah.
So my question to you was, what's the way
Yeah.
forward for our young people?
Well, what I see first, we have to sufficiently identify the problems. Some of the problems are apparent, and some of them we have to dig deeper. What I want the government to do, I want the government to invest time and energy in coming up with programs that are designed to improve the living conditions of the young people. I have proposed what I call a national youth employment policy. There are three major aspects of that policy. Every high school graduate will be placed in what I would call attachment with ongoing company that will be paid from the state. But this is what happened. That high school graduate will be working with a company to gain what I call real world work experience. Every graduate of the University of Liberia will also be attached to a company. Most of them will concentrate on agriculture and education. The third one will be for people who are like what we call Zogos, will be geared towards rehabilitation and giving them skills so that they can become productive members of our society. But whatever the government does, whatever the government of Liberia does, I want the focus to be on agriculture because when the people are hungry, what you say, a hungry man is an angry man. So the government must come up with programs for the youth because the youth, they form the largest demographic in Liberia, the largest voting bloc. What I don't understand, how it is that the people who put you in power and you suddenly abandon them when you attain power. So I want the government to go back. See what it says? A government that invests in its youths, invests in national peace. That government is investing in economic growth, and that government is investing in long-term development. We cannot afford to neglect the youth because our future stability and prosperity depend on positive investment in the lives of the young people. If the government wants, I have three policies, and maybe I didn't say this at the start of the program, but I have a master's in what they call public policy. So all I do is draft policy. But let me give you the warning here. I can sit in Vancouver, I'm in Seattle, and design all the plans I want. The government should take that plan and adjust it to suit the Liberian environment. Because some of the things, some of the assessment I will make might not be accurate or might not be in line with what works in Liberia. I will go to Liberia and I will unveil some of my plans. But if anybody wants a plan in terms of job creation, I can give it to them. But we have to focus on the young people. We have to ensure that the young people become productive citizens so that we can guarantee Liberia a future. I want to say thank you to you. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you to everybody listening to us. And I'm very happy to be here. Next time you call upon me, I'll be available. And I just thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you here tonight. I thought it was a great conversation, especially when you look at the main crust of the conversation, the neglect of our young people, um, the future, what's in it for them, how do we prepare them, to change the trajectory for our country, especially as these politicians fade out, the current leadership, the leadership to come. If we're not doing what we're supposed to do to empower these people, we're just going to have a society that just fall apart. So many things happening in Liberia shouldn't be happening. It's because of bad governance. Um, when you have foreigners coming and just doing whatever they want to do, they take over our economy and not giving us the opportunity to participate. Some presidents say you will not be spectator in your own economy, and we were sitting on the sideline. Another politician
Or
say
it is
we fight
particular outside the field.
yeah, we spent was we fight corruption to the teeth, and their government was more corrupt. We have another president who is in power now and say the arrest agenda will change, will empower the young people, will give them job opportunities, but we're still hearing things not happening. So our problem is so convoluted, extremely convoluted to the point that so much needs to be done. And a guy like you, who is a public policy major, can help, drive some kind of documents or some relatable documents that can help shape, the changes in our country. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to kind of sit here tonight together, and don't be a stranger. Any last word?
Well, no, I just want to say thank you, and thank you to everyone hearing the sound of my voice, all of the callers. I want to say we do appreciate you. We like the engagement, we like the feedback, and let's constantly engage so that we all can make Liberia a better place. I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you to those of you who watched the broadcast. Join us here every Tuesday and Thursday. First of all, Tuesday is the Issues Room. Thursday is the Volcano Shelton Show. This program can be found on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. If you didn't catch it in its entirety, you can find a repeat and listen. But there were some very good, important components to this conversation. Ben was very, very vocal. He shared a lot that we think that you can benefit from as our young people in preparation for your own future. No politician going to change your future. You need to take your future into your hands, and everybody who's drifting toward 2029, be ready, because the biggest voting bloc, as we said, are those young people, 50 to 55% in the population, that will make the difference. You need to go to the polls thinking what's in it for you, how your life going to change, rather than see politicians enjoying life and you say, look at the man naked car, look at the man naked house, look at the man naked shoes. You know the Liberian way of talking. But thank you so much. Volcano Shelton here, the Volcano Shelton Show, and I'll see you again on next Thursday. However, Alfonso and I will be back here on Tuesday next week with another edition at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great night and have a great weekend if we don't talk again.